Before you hear this confession, promise yourself one thing. Don't listen to these words as if they belong to someone else. Listen as if they were spoken directly to you, because maybe they are. Maybe destiny has a strange way of allowing two souls to meet long before they ever shake hands. Maybe this moment isn't an accident. Maybe, years from now, you'll remember these words and whisper to yourself, "He was talking to me all along." My future wife, there is a secret I have carried for years. It isn't written in any journal. It isn't hidden inside a locked room. It lives quietly beneath every decision I make, every late night I endure, every sacrifice nobody applauds, and every mountain I continue to climb. The world sees ambition, they see confidence, they see results, but they don't see the reason behind them. The truth is, I have been building a life for someone I haven't even met yet. Every sunrise has become another opportunity to become the man you deserve. Every failure has become another lesson preparing me to protect the peace we will someday call home. Every lonely season has been transforming me into someone who will never make you question your worth. Most people chase success because they want recognition. I chase growth because one day I want you to feel safe. There is a difference. Money can buy beautiful houses, but only character can build a peaceful home. Daughtry can attract attention, but integrity earns trust. Power can make people obey you, but love makes someone choose you every single day. That is why I refused shortcuts. There were moments when I could have compromised my values to become rich faster. There were opportunities that looked attractive on the surface, but demanded pieces of my soul in return. People told me, everyone does it. They laughed when I walked away. They called me naive. They called me too honest, too disciplined, too patient. They didn't understand something. I wasn't protecting my reputation. I was protecting our future because, someday, when you ask me how everything we built began, I never want to lower my eyes in shame. I want to tell you that every brick beneath our foundation was earned with honesty, courage, and relentless effort. That is the confession I have never spoken aloud. You have been influencing my life long before I knew your name. Every book I finished instead of wasting another evening. Every investment I made instead of buying another distraction. Every workout completed when quitting felt easier. Every difficult conversation that helped me become emotionally stronger. Every prayer whispered when nobody else believed. Every dream protected from people who laughed. Every risk I accepted, despite the fear. All of it was preparing me for you. People think love begins when two people meet. I believe real love begins long before that. It begins the moment someone decides to become worthy of the future they are praying for. You see, life has taught me something that most people discover too late. Your future is attracted less by what you wish for and more by who you become. You cannot expect extraordinary relationships while living an ordinary mindset. You cannot expect loyalty while practicing inconsistency. You cannot expect peace while feeding chaos. The universe rewards alignment. God rewards preparation. And destiny has a strange habit of introducing people only after both have survived the storms that shaped them. So, while everyone else rushed through life chasing temporary excitement, I chose something different. I chose transformation because attraction may open a door, but character keeps it open. I have seen people become millionaires yet remain emotionally bankrupt. I've watched successful entrepreneurs lose everything that mattered because they mastered business but never mastered themselves. I promised myself that would never become my story. Success without peace is failure wearing expensive clothes. Wealth without wisdom becomes destruction. Influence without humility eventually collapses under its own weight. So I built something nobody could photograph, discipline, because discipline is invisible before success becomes visible. Every morning I woke before the alarm, every uncomfortable decision, every delayed gratification, every lonely weekend spent building instead of escaping reality. They looked ordinary, but ordinary actions repeated consistently create extraordinary lives. The world celebrates the finished building. Few people respect the years spent pouring concrete beneath the ground. That invisible foundation is where champions are made. And maybe that's why you haven't met me yet, because foundations take time. If destiny introduced us before I learned patience, I might have loved you emotionally, but failed you practically. If we met before I conquered my insecurities, I might have asked you to heal wounds that were my responsibility. If we met before I developed vision, I might have expected you to carry dreams I was too afraid to pursue myself. No, you deserve better than potential. You deserve preparation. That's why every delay has become a blessing in disguise. I stopped asking, why isn't it happening yet? Instead, I began asking, who must I become before it happens? That single question transformed my entire life. It changed how I managed my time. It changed how I spent my money. It changed how I handled rejection. It changed how I viewed failure. Failure stopped becoming proof that I wasn't enough. It became evidence that I was growing, because every successful person carries invisible scars that nobody applauds. Every empire was once an impossible idea. Every confident leader once doubted themselves. Every breakthrough was born inside a season where nothing appeared to be working. That realization gave me peace. The nights became easier. The waiting became meaningful. The silence became productive. I no longer feared being alone. Loneliness became my classroom. Silence became my mentor. Pressure became my personal trainer. Every obstacle became another chapter, teaching me resilience. Most people pray for easier lives. I started praying for broader shoulders, because easier lives don't create legendary people. Responsibility does, adversity does, commitment does. The strongest steel is forged inside the hottest fire. Likewise, the strongest character is forged inside seasons where nobody is watching. So if you're listening to this today, wondering why life seems to be taking longer than expected, maybe you're measuring the wrong thing. Stop measuring what you have. Measure who you're becoming, because the person you become is the only asset nobody can ever take away. Money can disappear. Businesses can fail. Markets can crash. People can leave. But the discipline you build stays. The wisdom you earn stays. The resilience you develop stays. And those invisible qualities eventually create visible miracles. That is another secret I want my future wife to know. I don't dream about impressing the world. I dream about protecting our peace. I don't want success that costs us our family. I don't want wealth that steals our joy. I don't want influence that demands I become someone I no longer recognize. I want the kind of life where success serves our purpose, not the other way around. So if destiny is listening, if time is quietly writing our story somewhere beyond what I can see, then let it continue. I won't rush what heaven is preparing. I'll keep becoming stronger, wiser, kinder, and more disciplined, because when our paths finally cross, I don't want to introduce you to a man who is still searching for himself. I want to introduce you to a man who already found his purpose and is ready to help you build something that outlives both of us. And that is only the beginning of my confession. There is something else I have never admitted to anyone. The world assumes that confidence is something you are born with. They see a man standing tall, speaking with certainty, making bold decisions, and they imagine he has never questioned himself. They think courage arrived first and success followed. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Confidence was never my starting point, it was my reward. Every difficult decision I refused to avoid became another brick in the foundation of my confidence. Every promise I kept to myself, even when nobody was watching, became another reason to trust the man staring back at me in the mirror. That is the version of me I want you to know, not the headlines, not the achievements, not the bank account. I want you to know the man who learned that real wealth begins long before money ever enters your life. Because the first fortune anyone must build is the fortune of their mind. Your thoughts are investments, your habits are assets, your discipline is equity. Your character is the currency that never loses value. Everything else is simply interest earned over time. My future wife, if there is one lesson I hope we never forget, it is this. Life always pays dividends to the people who invest in themselves before expecting the world to invest in them. That is why I disappeared so many times. Not because I wanted distance from people, because I needed closeness with my purpose. There were birthdays I missed. Vacations I declined, comforts I delayed, entertainment I ignored. While others were chasing applause, I was chasing mastery, because applause is temporary, mastery is permanent. The crowd celebrates moments, destiny rewards consistency. Every morning before the sun painted the sky, I made a silent agreement with myself. Become 1% better today. Not 10 times better, not overnight, just 1%. Most people underestimate what small improvements can accomplish. because they are obsessed with dramatic transformations. They want one opportunity to change everything. They want one lucky break, one perfect connection, one magical moment. But extraordinary lives are rarely built through miracles. They are built through momentum. Momentum is created when ordinary actions are repeated with extraordinary commitment. Imagine a river carving through solid rock. It doesn't happen because the water is stronger than the stone. It happens because the water refuses to stop flowing. That became my philosophy. Keep moving. Even if the progress feels invisible, keep believing. Even when results are delayed, keep building. Even when nobody understands what you're creating, because one day the same people who questioned your journey will ask for directions. Success has a strange sense of humor. It stays silent while you're working. Then suddenly everyone acts as though it appeared overnight. They never see the years hidden beneath one visible victory. They never witness the countless nights where doubt tried to convince you to quit. There were evenings when exhaustion whispered, "You've done enough." But purpose answered, "One more hour." Fear said, "What if you fail?" Faith replied, "What if this is the breakthrough?" Comfort invited me to slow down. Vision demanded I keep climbing. And every time I chose vision over comfort, I became a little more prepared for the future we will one day share. Because I refuse to bring unfinished battles into our home. I don't want my unresolved fears becoming your unnecessary burdens. I don't want my lack of discipline creating instability in the family we dream of. I don't want you to carry emotional weights that I should have learned to lift myself. Healing is a responsibility. Growth is a responsibility. Leadership begins with self-leadership. Before anyone follows you, you must first prove that you can follow your own values. That realization changed everything. I stopped competing with other people. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of destiny. Someone will always have more money. Someone will always have a bigger house. Someone will always appear more successful. If your happiness depends on outrunning everyone else, you will spend your entire life exhausted. Instead, I started competing with the man I was yesterday. That competition has no finish line. Every chapter demanded a better version of me. Every challenge invited greater wisdom. Every setback exposed another weakness that needed refining. Eventually, I understood something that completely transformed my relationship with success. Success is not a destination. It is an identity. You don't achieve success once. You become someone who repeatedly creates it. The same principle applies to love. You don't accidentally build an extraordinary marriage. You become the kind of person capable of creating one. Every day, every conversation, every sacrifice, every act of patience, every difficult truth spoken with kindness. Love is less about finding the right person than becoming the right person. That is why I have never prayed only for the woman I will marry. I have prayed just as hard for the man she deserves to meet. Because prayers without preparation become wishes. Dreams without discipline become fantasies. Hope without action becomes regret. I refuse to live a life built on regret. I want our story to be built on intentional choices. I imagine a future where success is no longer measured by luxury alone. Success is hearing laughter echo through a home filled with peace. Success is knowing our children learn integrity because they watched it, not because they were lectured about it. Success is sitting beside you, years from now, realizing that the greatest investment I ever made wasn't in a company, a market, or an opportunity. It was in becoming a man of unwavering character. Money can multiply, businesses can expand, influence can grow, but none of it means anything if the people you love feel emotionally bankrupt. I've watched powerful people lose their families while gaining the world. I've watched ambitious dreamers become prisoners of the very success they once prayed for. That will never be my definition of victory. If I must choose between endless wealth and endless peace, I choose peace. Ironically, I discovered that peace often becomes the foundation upon which true wealth is built, because a calm mind makes better decisions. A grateful heart sees better opportunities. A disciplined life compounds into extraordinary results. Everything compounds. Fear compounds. Confidence compounds. Excuses compound. Discipline compounds. Your future is simply the accumulated interest of today's decisions. That is why I guard my habits so fiercely. Every morning begins before motivation arrives. Because motivation is unreliable, commitment is dependable. Motivation changes with emotions. Commitment remains loyal to the mission. Some mornings I felt unstoppable. Other mornings I questioned everything. But I learned one powerful truth. You don't need to feel inspired to stay consistent. You only need to remember why you started. And every time exhaustion tried to convince me to settle for less, I imagined a conversation we'll someday have. You'll ask me, how did you keep going when life became difficult? I'll smile because the answer was never complicated. I kept going because I believed someone was waiting for the version of me that refused to quit. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe you are building your own invisible foundation right now. Maybe your battles are shaping you the same way mine shaped me. If that's true, then every delay suddenly makes sense, because destiny doesn't rush people who are still becoming. It prepares them until their purpose is strong enough to carry the blessings they're about to receive. So until that day arrives, I'll continue making one promise to myself. I will never stop becoming. I will never let comfort replace purpose. I will never confuse temporary pleasure with lasting fulfillment. I will continue building a life rooted in vision, faith, discipline, and courage. Because when our paths finally meet, I don't want to offer you empty promises. I want to offer you proof. Proof that consistency beats talent. Proof that integrity outlasts popularity. Proof that resilience creates opportunities luck never could. Proof that the strongest empires are first built inside the human spirit. And there is one final secret I have been saving for you. The greatest dream of my life was never simply to become successful. It was to become the kind of man whose success becomes a blessing to everyone he loves. Because in the end, the richest person is not the one who owns the most. The richest person is the one whose presence makes everyone around them feel more secure, more hopeful, and more capable of believing that impossible things can become reality. That is the legacy I am building. That is the promise I am protecting. And my confession is still not over. The final part of my confession is the one I have protected the longest. Not because it is difficult to say, but because words become promises the moment they leave your heart. And I have never wanted to make promises that my actions could not fulfill. So if destiny allows these words to find you one day, I want you to know that everything I am about to say has already been practiced in silence. My future wife, if we are meant to meet, I don't hope you discover a perfect man. Perfection is an illusion created by people who are afraid to be honest. I hope you discover a man who has learned how to stand back up every single time life knocked him down. Because resilience is more valuable than perfection. Perfection cannot survive reality. Resilience can survive anything. Life will not always give us calm mornings and beautiful sunsets. There will be seasons when the numbers don't look good. There will be days when plans collapse without warning, moments when people disappoint us, opportunities that disappear, dreams that require us to begin again. But hear me carefully. We will never allow temporary storms to convince us that the destination has disappeared. Storms don't erase the horizon. They simply hide it for a while. That is how I have learned to live. Not by chasing certainty, but by building conviction. Conviction says, even when I cannot see the path, I will continue walking. That mindset changed everything. It transformed obstacles into opportunities, pressure into preparation, fear into fuel, waiting into wisdom. I realized that life isn't happening to us. Life is responding to us. Every decision plants a seed. Every habit waters that seed. Every season reveals what we've been cultivating. If we plant discipline, we harvest freedom. If we plant courage, we harvest opportunity. If we plant integrity, we harvest trust. If we plant gratitude, we harvest peace. Nothing meaningful grows overnight. The tallest trees spend years strengthening roots nobody ever sees. Human greatness follows the same law. Invisible preparation always comes before visible elevation. That is why I no longer envy anyone's success. I don't know what roots they had to grow beneath the surface, and I refuse to compare my chapter 3 with someone else's chapter 20. Comparison steals focus. Focus creates destiny. Every minute spent watching another person's journey is a minute stolen from building your own. So I chose to become obsessed with progress instead of perfection. One decision, one habit, one conversation, one courageous step at a time. Eventually I discovered something remarkable. Success isn't loud. It is quiet. It hides inside ordinary mornings, inside promises kept, inside difficult conversations, inside choosing discipline when excuses seem reasonable. The world notices the spotlight, but character is built backstage. That is where I have spent most of my life, learning, failing, adjusting, growing. There were seasons when nobody believed in the vision except me. There were nights when the silence felt heavier than any obstacle. There were moments when quitting seemed logical, but purpose rarely asks for comfort. Purpose asks for commitment. And commitment means continuing after emotions have changed. That lesson became one of the greatest gifts of my life, because emotions are temporary, values are permanent, feelings come and go, principles remain. I want our future to be built on principles, not moods, not circumstances, not temporary excitement, because excitement begins relationships, character sustains them. I want us to become the kind of people who make each other stronger, the kind who celebrate victories without arrogance, who face losses without surrender, who remember that wealth is a wonderful servant but a terrible master. Money should give us more choices. It should never decide who we become. If success ever asks me to sacrifice integrity, then the price is too high. If achievement ever demands abandoning the people I love, then it is not achievement at all. The world may measure a person by possessions. I choose to measure life by impact. How many people feel stronger because we believed in them? How many lives became brighter because we chose generosity over selfishness? How many dreams survived because we spoke hope instead of fear? That is real abundance. Not simply having more, but becoming more patient, more courageous, more disciplined, more grateful, more intentional, because who you become determines what you can sustain. Many people pray for blessings they have not yet developed the capacity to carry. I chose a different prayer. Give me the wisdom to become the person capable of protecting every blessing you place in my hands. That prayer changed me. It taught me that destiny is not something we chase. It is something we prepare ourselves to receive. Maybe that's why our paths have not crossed yet. Not because love is late, but because preparation is still writing the final pages of our individual stories. And when those pages are complete, our stories will become one. When that day comes, I won't tell you that life will always be easy. I will tell you something far more powerful. Whatever comes, we will become stronger than it. We won't fear change. We will adapt. We won't fear failure. We will learn. We won't fear uncertainty. We will grow through it, because extraordinary people are not defined by comfortable circumstances. They are defined by courageous responses. And if someday our children ask us the secret behind everything we built together, I hope our answer is simple. We never stop becoming students of life. So until the day our paths finally cross, I have only one mission: to keep becoming, to keep believing, to keep building, to keep walking with unwavering faith toward a future that already exists in my heart, before it exists in my reality, because I know one truth that nothing in this world can ever change. The life you imagine begins the moment you become the person capable of living it. And when that moment arrives, you won't need to chase destiny anymore. Destiny will recognize your footsteps, open the door you once prayed for, and quietly whisper, "You are finally ready."